Coming to the private cloud specifically, see, you cannot call your on-premises data center as a private cloud overnight, right? So there has to be certain characteristics or certain stuffs which makes up all these data center, right? So let me just give some idea what I'm talking about. See, you have a physical data center, and on top of that, you are going to have the cloud related characteristics. Without that cloud related characteristics, you cannot term your on-premises data center as a private cloud, right? So when you talk about cloud, it has its own specific capabilities or characteristics. Only with that, you can call it as a cloud. See, for example, you have these layers in your on-premises data center. Okay, so you have these components in your IT data center, and what we are going to add as a service or capability surrounding these layers is what I'm going to list down now. See, in the public cloud in AWS or Azure, so whenever you want to have some let's say 1 minute, let me just put something here. So whenever you want to have some servers or storage, you have the option to go and self-request it or self-service it. The very primary advantage of public cloud is self-service portal. So as a customer, you can log into the portal and then ask for one virtual machine or more storage or database or whatever, right? And again, you use the same identity, right? It's a single sign-on portal. You use the same portal for accessing virtual machine or accessing storage or network or database or security related activities. So it's a single sign-on. So once you log into the portal, you can access all the resources using one login. So that is another important characteristics, the basic characteristics of cloud. And now, see, when a customer or when an end user is requesting for the VM, what happens behind the scene? See, if it is your on premises, if you want to have a VM created, there is a big process, right? You have to go and purchase a server, you have to install virtualization, vSphere or Hyper-V, and then on top of that, you have to go and create a virtual machine and then provide access to the end user to to the developer to install the application and give it ready for the support and maintenance, right? All these step-by-step actions or the set of workflow will be written on your orchestration tool. Okay, when I say orchestration tool, so in order to create a virtual machine, deploy a virtual machine, what are the different work that has to happen behind the scenes? In order to provision more storage, what are the different steps? It has to create a LUN, it has to assign a capacity to that logical unit number, I mean LUN, and then that LUN has to be assigned to a particular customer. So all these set of tasks, these workflows are already created in the orchestration tool. Orchestration tool is nothing but sequencing of tasks, sequencing of the work in order to complete that particular task. So if you want to deploy a new virtual machine, there is a task involved. If you want to provision additional capacity, there is a task involved. So initially it will be a SOP, and that SOP will be converted into a orchestration tool where it will run that tool in conjunction with the automation workflow. So you might use different automation tool sets or framework to complete that work. So, but automation and orchestration, they work hand in hand to provide the work or to complete that particular work. All right, let me just put it like this. So next comes another topic, which is nothing but metering and monitoring. See, metering is different, monitoring is different. So metering is mainly for what? Metering is to measure your consumption. So it is a measured service. So here we are talking about multiple customers using it. It is a kind of shared resource pooling, right? So we are talking about multi-tenant here. So multi-tenant means multiple customers are using the data center, and based on the shared usage, shared resource pooling, you are getting the benefit of cost. You are only paying for the shared maintenance and management of the physical data center. So here, since there are multiple different consumers or multiple different parties either within your organization or between companies, you are you are using as a shared responsibility. See, let's assume like you have a company where you have multiple business units or department, and if you just go and say to HR department or finance department, see, you guys have to pay $100 each or $1,000 each for the cloud consumption. So they will not agree to that, right? They will ask, what is our usage, what is our application consuming. Only based on the consumption usage they will say I can pay for it. See, that is how the flat community also works, right? If you have 10 different tenants in a particular gated community or in a flat structure, so everyone will have their own meter, right, to measure the consumption of electricity or water or whatever it is, right? So without measuring the consumption, without metering the consumption, you cannot charge back. See, mainly metering is to charge back the customer who are consuming those services. So you need to have a mechanism to measure the consumption of the service. For example, how much CPU this particular business unit is using, how many servers they have provisioned, how much they might have asked for a special virtual machine which has GPU, or it has got multiple CPU or high amount of storage. So based on the number of applications they are running, based on the amount of CPU they are consuming, so you will have a mechanism to measure or meter it. So for that, you might need to have some kind of tagging or labeling mechanism, which we will discuss a little later. But metering is mainly to measure the consumption. It is a measured service, right? And what is monitoring? Monitoring is, it might seem very much similar to metering, but monitoring is quite different. Monitoring is mainly to monitor the availability of your application, whether your application is available to other user, whether the service is up or down, or whether your server is reachable or not. So it's all about monitoring is checking the latency, checking the reachability, checking the availability. Latency is nothing but checking the millisecond, how much time it is taking, whether it is taking too much time to reach, whether there is any performance issues or latency issues. So all those stuffs are being monitored. This is mainly to keep your application with adequate capacity, and all those stuff. Capacity monitoring, performance monitoring, latency, reachability monitoring, service up and down. So why we need to have monitoring? Monitoring is to give a stable service for your customer, and monitoring is tied to auto remediation. If there is an issue, you can also go and configure self healing or automatic healing for your see, if a particular service goes down, you can go and write an algorithm in your orchestration or automation tool to go and restart the service first, and if still the application is not available, restart the server. So you can go and write some automated scripts to automatically monitor the service and remediate if in case of any issues, right? And see, you are having a particular new model, and you might already have some more tools that are responsible for managing the services or service management. So in an if you take ITSM, you might have some tools like Remedy or ServiceNow, or for HR related, you might have some Workday or different tools, right? So all those tools have to be integrated with your cloud offering or cloud services. So that is what we call it as API, or application programming interface or integration. So there should be some provision to integrate or to connect your service management application with your cloud environment. So that is what we call it as REST API or just API. And now this particular cloud will also provide you some more additional functionalities like analytics and right sizing to understand how your business is doing, how you can improve your business, and so on. So those stuffs you get as a additional value add, those business intelligence tools or additional capabilities in terms of intelligence tools to understand what is happening. It also gives you analytics on what is the trend, what is the consumption, what is the pattern of your business, and so on. And again, all these services, the cloud capabilities, the services can be accessed from almost a broad network range. You can access it from your mobile, you can access it from home network, you can access it from cafe location, you can access it from a different location. So it has got broad network access and broad device access. When I say broad device access, you can access it from mobile, you can access it from laptop, desktop, your home PC, or whatever, right? So you have a lot of connectivity. So you can work from home, um, So it enables those functionality. Laptops or desktops or whatever, right? So those stuffs. So now these are the key characteristics that should be available in your on premises to call that as a private cloud. So this is what we call it as characteristics of cloud. See, if you don't have these characteristics, these top 10 characteristics, you cannot call your on premises data center as cloud. Otherwise it is just another data center. So how do we get these characteristics enabled? How do we get these features? So if you ask me, see, Amazon as a company, they are giving Amazon Web Services for public cloud. Whereas for on-premises private cloud environment, they are also giving ready-made product which can bring the same AWS related services and capabilities and products to your on-premises, which is called Outpost. And similarly, Azure has got Azure Stack, which is a kind of product which you can deploy in your on-premises to bring all those characteristics in your own data center. So there are many other products like OpenStack, CloudStack. So these are all products which you can use from different third-party providers to deploy it. Even like HP as a company had HP Helion, and IBM as a company, they had IBM SoftLayer. So there are many different products that are available which can enable those capabilities. Even some of you might be working on VMware, right? VMware gives you vRealize suite of products. Some of you might be working with what is this? If you compare it here, so you have vRealize Orchestrator, VRO, VRA, and a lot of different products are being given as a suite of vRealize suite is a combination of these characteristics or a combination of these tools and products. So that is what you get as an offering. If you go and deploy SoftLayer or vRealize suite or Azure Stack, what you are going to get? You are going to get these characteristics on your existing data center. So when you enable these cloud capabilities on your data center, then that is called private cloud. So where as a customer, you can go and log in with the same ID and access VM, access storage, access create request for VM, request for a particular runtime environment. So these are the stuffs that will be enabled in your on-premises data center. So this is what we call it as cloud characteristics. Okay, I thought of discussing about cloud disadvantages, but we are already on time for 12. Maybe any questions on cloud deployment model or cloud?
Understand?
Yeah, go ahead.
Regarding this private cloud model, yeah, we understand public cloud. It is a single portal. It's accessed by through internet.
Mm-hmm.
And private cloud, you mentioned, right? This Azure Stack or AWS Outpost. These are similar to kind of appliance. We can install it in our, let's say, on-premise VMware virtual machine, and then it will give us the same user interface like what we have AWS or Azure, and then it will be integrated to our what is it, compute, storage, and network,
Mm-hmm.
and we can deploy the virtual machine through that. Is this similar? My understanding.
Yeah. Your understanding is right. See, either you can get that as a physical appliance or a virtual appliance, or even you can go and deploy it as a kind of product. Like for example, if you take OpenStack, it is a combination of multiple different sub-product, right? For example, if you want software-defined storage, or if you want software-defined network, so there are multiple different products. Like for single portal, you have Horizon, Swift, Keystone, Neutron, Cinder, Heat, and there are many different products that make up that concept. The cloud characteristics can be brought from even OpenStack or different third-party product. So either you can get it as a complete appliance, like as you said for Azure Stack, or you can also go and install on your existing hardware, whatever identity and access management Keystone, or if you want to have imaging service, you can install Glance, or there are different tools that you can pick and choose and install. So that option is also available. So either you go and get it as a complete service, or you can go and deploy it on your existing service, like your OpenStack, and then you can make that as a cloud.
So in that case, and when we deploy that or implement that in our environment,
Mhm.
my existing environment on premise will looks like as a cloud, but
Correct.
still it is under my control.
Yeah, it is
So
fully.
that even in case of we ran out of storage or network,
Mm,
again that has to be like capital expenditure has to be done, and we
true.
need to add storage, something like that.
Very true. Very
But
true. Yeah.
control is user interface is similar to that. We can get it in. that appliance or application, so
True.
that more than one or two application teams can access it and go ahead and does not want to wait for infra team to go and create a VM from a template, add a storage like that. Some sort of kind of, right?
Correct, you are true. So you have complete control on the infrastructure, virtualization layer, and on the above, you definitely you have it. So in private cloud, you have single organization, and in general, it is not exposed to public, or it is not exposed to public by default, because it is used only by a dedicated organization or a specific company. You have complete control, and security is when security is your topmost priority, then that is where you go for private cloud. Some organization, they don't have, I mean, their legal or compliance or security requirement says they cannot run their application in the public internet. Their application has to be only accessible by their customer. It is internal use, and in such cases, to meet the regulatory requirements or security legal requirements, you have a private cloud which is consumable only by the specific people who needs access to that particular sensitive application. And there are certain locations, like maybe some Middle East location or some European countries, where you don't have public cloud availability yet. But then those companies, they want to have their application have the features and functionalities provided by the cloud, and they want to modernize the way that their end users or uh, their consumers want to use those cloud capabilities like self sign-on portal or orchestration and automation facilities. They can go and deploy a private cloud. So it is for two reasons. One primary reason is to meet the security legal compliance or audit requirement. Second reason, there are certain countries and locations where you don't get the public cloud offering, where you can have your own existing data center converted to a modern public cloud kind of. It's like extending the cloud capabilities, extending the cloud features or characteristics to your on-prem. That is
Okay.
what we call it as private cloud.
Right. Okay. Let's say, yeah, in public cloud we have like US region, India region, and Singapore.
Mhm,
So let's say in my existing company we have a data center in US, Singapore, and India, and UK.
mhm,
So when we implement this private cloud, that either the software or that virtualization appliance,
mhm.
so we can integrate all these data centers. So whenever the application team wants, okay, he can deploy a virtual machine in UK data center or US, similar to what we can choose. The same experience it will provide, right?
True, true. See,
Stan.
that is how the cloud model also started. See, for example, if you take Microsoft Azure or Amazon, they used to have all the centralized characteristics from the East US location. But then, when they had this East US as a dependency, rest of the regions also had some issues. So they also experienced some East US outage, where it impacted some of the cloud characteristics. It did not impact the business application as such, but then the management teams, the cloud operations teams, they were having some issues of connecting through that particular centralized cloud characteristics, which is serviced out of East US. See, you can also have one particular data center in your own organization, bringing all the cloud characteristics, and you can integrate all the other data centers. But you always need to think about what if that particular primary data center goes down. So you will lose all those cloud characteristics. Your business application will still be available to the end user because they are accessing directly using the web portal of the web application. So yeah, as an architect, you have to think about what if the server fails, what if the data center fails, what if the entire cloud characteristics fails. You have to think in such a way. You always, IT is prone to failure, right? You always have to design for failure. So that is another important thing. So as you said, yeah, you can have one or two data center, we can enable the characteristics in those data center, and you can integrate the other location applications or system to that. But you need to think about high availability of those characteristics also.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Got Stan. Yeah.
sure. So now I think I missed to explain this managed private cloud and the hosted private cloud. We will complete after uh, covering this, and remaining topic we will discuss in the next session. Hosted or virtual private cloud. I think I have the paint open from the Azure class. Let me use that. So here there are two options, okay? Managed private cloud and hosted private cloud. So managed private cloud means, see, for example, as a customer, see, it can be Mercedes or it can be Nestle or any particular industry vertical customer. So they own the private cloud data center, they own it. But then see, the company's business is all about manufacturing or automobile, bringing more new cars or bringing new products. If you are a finance industry, it's all about banking and other stuffs, right? So your core business is different. You don't have to worry about the IT data center. So if in case you need to offshore the IT management, so what you can do is you can talk to HCL or IBM or TCS or any company who are providing the IT service provider services, and they can manage the physical data center and the IT related components, and you can just have control only on the business application. So the data center is owned by the customer. For example, if in case you need more storage capacity, or if you need more physical servers or more networking gears, customer has to invest. But only thing, the IT related fault fixing or replacing the hardware or upgrading the OS or upgrading the hardware or replacing the hardware or refreshing the end of support life hardware or support life OS, all those IT management will be done by third party. So it is a private cloud managed by third party. That is what we call it as managed private cloud. Here, this is a quite opposite example. For example, let's say IBM is a company which has got 60 to 70 years of experience in IT, right? So they have been having a lot of different data centers across the globe, and that too they had very huge data centers because they deployed those data center even before virtualization came in. Okay, after virtualization has come in, their data center size has got a lot of capacity, okay, where you can add more racks, more servers for different customers. So what they generally do as a business, they will go and have separate racks for different customers, but this is not for all the public. Okay, it is only for IBM customers or the company who is providing this particular service. It can be Rackspace or it can be Hosting Air, or different companies provide virtual private service. What they generally do is they create separate rack. They have assigned separate servers and storage for a particular customer, and they compartmentalize it. Okay, they virtually create space for different customers to run their business application. So this is what we call it as hosted private cloud. So in the IBM data center, you will get a space to host your application, and based on the number of servers, number of storage, amount of data that you transfer and stuff, you have to pay to the provider, IBM or any company who's providing the service. So it is like hosted private cloud or virtual private cloud. There is a virtual compartment for each and every customer. So this is not available for every general public. This is still a private cloud, but only for a specific set of customers who are using the services from IBM or HP or different provider. See, this is mainly to make better use of their data center space. So there is also a service like this. We call it as a virtual private server or virtual private cloud or hosted private cloud. So here the provider the provider is customer. It is managed by third part, managed by IT company. So it is called managed private cloud. Here the IT companies are providing separate virtual space to run your application, and you are paying for the servers or the storage that you are using. This is called hosted private cloud. Within private cloud, you have two major models: managed private cloud and hosted private cloud. Okay, so with that said, we have a lot of other topics to cover. We have got what you call cloud disadvantages, and what is the current cloud market, how are the Indian IT companies doing. So we have to discuss these 3 points before we move into why Amazon Web Services, because there are many cloud providers like Microsoft Azure, GCP, Alibaba Cloud, and different Oracle Cloud, and so on, and why we need to choose Amazon Web Services. So we will understand that, and before that we will have to complete these 3 topics before we get into the second day session, Amazon Web Services session. So any questions so far overall?